this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is Dr. Richmond and Mia Trevillion. Welcome to the show. You know, this show is actually it's the first time we're actually doing anything like what we're doing today. This show is about cancer, breast cancer specifically, and Mia Trevillion has been diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's doing a very brave and courageous thing today by coming on the show to talk about it. I know she'll begin treatment very soon. Mia, I want to ask you, what was it like when you first got that news?
It kind of shocked me. I mean, it was during the holiday season, so it was very unexpected, and I was going about my normal life, just decided, go ahead and do a well woman check, and they discovered a lump. I postponed doing the mammogram and just went ahead with my life for like another month. And then when I finally decided to get the mammogram, things kind of like went haywire after that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you've actually known about the breast cancer at this point for how long?
Since October 3rd. That's when the lump was discovered.
Okay.
October 3rd.
So October, November, December, so about 4 months now?
Yeah, about 4 months.
Going on 4 months. Yeah. Now, you actually told me something that I was surprised by. You said that you hadn't shared it necessarily with your family as of yet. Is there any particular reason why?
Well, it was the holiday season, and I guess I went through a point of kind of denial because I have cystic breasts, and they're kind of, I've always had like these lumps. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're going to find out that that's what it is. It's not going to be breast cancer. But that initial one going in, and I had an unusual situation. One of my cysts burst. So I went from straight mammography to ER with them not knowing what was wrong with me.
Really?
Blood pressure dropping down to 70/20, to the fever going up to 104, being septic, being and the white blood cells were going crazy. And so that right there put, 4 days of being in the hospital after that. So that kind of, mine got kind of complicated. So they had to say, let's deal with this first, and then they sent me to do another test to see about the mammogram. They did that. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What an interesting experience. And what's even more interesting is that you've chosen to actually cut your hair off today on the show before you begin the chemo and it falls out on its own. What helped you to make that decision?
Actually, I've started the chemo.
Okay.
This will be my 3rd round coming up, and I decided to go ahead and cut my hair after I talked to other women who have been diagnosed with the same breast cancer I have. It's an aggressive breast cancer, triple negative, which a lot of African American women seem to have. So my treatments have been, chemo's been intense.
Okay.
Yeah. So it will, what I've seen is that by the 3rd time it's going to fall out. So I choose to go ahead and
do it beforehand. Yeah, that's very brave and very courageous. As we all know, a woman's hair is her crowning glory. So for you to be brave enough and bold enough to do it publicly on the show today, that's really something I truly commend you for. Dr. Richmond, now you're well versed on this type of cancer.
Yes.
What is Mia to expect?
Well, as the treatment goes on, so Mia mentioned that she has triple negative breast cancer, and so what that means is that her the cancer doesn't make receptors for what we call hormones, and so she is not, and patients in the same category are not able to get some of the traditional breast cancer treatment.
Okay.
And so the type of treatment that she is actually getting is very aggressive, because this type of cancer is very aggressive. And I want to say this too, as we are both women of color, is that this type of cancer, it is a lot of times found very late in our women of color, and then it's also very, very aggressive. And so again, the treatment is very aggressive. And so what happens when you get aggressive chemotherapy or certain types of chemotherapy, basically the therapy is, one, addressing the cancer, but it also attacks the cells that are healthy and dividing really rapidly, including hair and nails. And so that's why you see a lot of ladies losing their hair, is because the treatment is also kind of attacking healthy cells.
Okay, okay. Which oftentimes happen when you go through radiation and chemotherapy. A lot of the healthy blood cells are attacked during that time as well. So is that a time that probiotics and things of that nature would come into play as well to help with that?
Well, probiotics could be helpful in the sense that it helps the immune system, immune system be stronger.
Okay.
But I certainly wouldn't advise just taking probiotics and thinking that everything is going to be okay.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So, now, with you having experience in this, what's some of the things that you've seen with this type of cancer in the past that you may have dealt with before?
For my patients so I do women's health, but I am by profession a family medicine doctor. And so I am at the front line of trying to get women to get their mammograms and also diagnosis. So it's recommended that yes, women over 40, especially if you're in a high risk group, get your mammogram every year. There's some other recommendations, but specifically for women of color, it's really important to be diagnosed early. So that's what I do. When my patients come in, have you had your mammogram? And not only have you had your mammogram, but also have you had a clinical breast examination? Because sometimes, and many times, that's how breast cancer is diagnosed. Just by a regular physical examination, like, oh, hey, what's that? Or the doctor is examining you and saying, you know, what is that lump? You know, I don't, that doesn't feel normal to me. We should proceed with more testing. And so what I've seen a lot of times in women of color is that we just wait. We're taking care of everybody else. We're looking after everybody else. And by the time I've had, I want to say in the last few months, probably about 7 women who have come in and complained of a lump, and it actually turned, and women of color who actually, it turned out to be breast cancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I think one of the reasons, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I think one of the reasons that people in general tend to wait is because of fear. I think fear sets in. Another point I wanted to make too was when we talk about women of color and we talk about the age range, we say 40. What I have discovered in doing shows like this and being more educated on breast cancer at this point in my life, a lot of women get it even earlier than 40. We had someone on recently who had cancer, I think at the age of 26. Breast cancer for the first time, and it came back a second, then a third, then ended up being 6 times. And she passed away just the other day, as a matter of fact.
Oh, she's a friend of mine. Wow. She's from Chicago?
Yes, she is.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Do you?
Yes.
Oh, Cherie.
Yes.
Wow. Cherie was on the show.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah.
And she fought a very courageous battle.
She did.
And she fought to the very end. And even on the show, you know, we talked about, she talked about the fact that she was not going to die. You know, I'm going to fight this thing all the way. And she began to do holistic medicines, things of that nature, so on and so forth. We really connected, you know, and it was a great interview. Shortly afterwards, she passed away. But this is the type of thing that we need to talk about so that more people can become educated, motivated, and inspired by it to move forward when they see something or feel something that is not normal for their bodies. And I definitely think that getting a check before the age of 40 can also be advantageous for especially African American people. We're going to be back in just a minute. You guys stick around. We'll be back with more.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show, where my guest today is Mia Trevillion and Dr. Richards. Dr. Richmond. Make sure we get that right. And the show today, I know, right?
My husband did.
Say, get my name right. Dr. Richmond and Mia Trevillion. And we're having a very kind of an unorthodox type of a show today with Mia, who was recently discovered that she had breast cancer, and that's what this show is about today, and all that good stuff. And Dr. Richmond is here to give us a little bit more of an explanation about it, this, that, and the other. You know, I know some people in the audience had a couple of questions that they wanted to ask pertaining to breast cancer and things of that nature. Valerie, what was your question?
Well, I know that a lot of people, women don't get breast exams because of financial reasons. Do you have any resources for someone to go to that's indigent or perhaps need a discount or something like that?
Okay, so that's a great question. So one resource in the Houston area is the Rose. I don't have the exact phone number, but you can certainly Google the Rose and it'll pop up. You call the number, let them know that you need to have a screening mammogram, and they will schedule you and actually do it for free. And they actually read it and everything for free. And then if there's anything that is abnormal, then they'll refer you to someone like me, who I work with the underserved population or people who don't have insurance, and so through Harris Health. And so we have a wonderful, wonderful breast clinic and breast referral center there at in Harris Health.
Fantastic. And that's the kind of information that we need. We definitely need that type of information, because there are a lot of people who just can't afford the treatment or even to go through the testing to be diagnosed, such as the mammograms and things of that nature. I think there's another question also.
I have a question. What do you tell a young lady or a lady period that is just so afraid to get checked and they know that there's something that's not right? And what words of encouragement can you give them to nudge them a little bit to go get checked out?
Mia, I'm going to let you answer that question because you've been there.
I started getting my mammogram at 36 because ironically they buried my grandmother on my 7th birthday, December 7th. And ever since then, it was always out there. Like, you know, you definitely want to follow up. So at 36, I was adamant. I was like, I'm starting now because I have this history, so I want to start early. So I would go every year to get a mammogram done. And when 3D came out, I was the first one to say, I'm paying the $50 to get 3D because I have these dense breasts. And I was always finding lumps. And when I would go in, find the lump, the doctor was really good, and they would turn out to be cysts. They would be benign, so they would take a needle and draw them out. But because I participated in so many different things with cancer awareness, I really didn't have a big fear. And when you go there, it's so different. I mean, you don't think that it's not this dark room. It's not the cancer that my grandmother experienced and that I experienced with her. You know, so it's a very comforting situation. You got nice robes, and you go in, and it's not like you're in this dark place. It's a real welcoming place. And even though you know that that's there, you understand that, and I also understood that you know that the care is different. Things were different, and so even though I did have some of the fear, I was glad that I was proactive and pursuing it. And so I can't say, you know, even though I think mine was still at a stage 3, I did everything I could possibly do to go ahead of time. I mean, that's all I can do, is just happen to be one of the aggressive forms.
Okay. And I think what you're saying too, Mia, resounds with me as well, because a lot of people don't understand, if you have a first degree relative, specifically a mother, an aunt, or a grandmother on your mother's side who was diagnosed with breast cancer, whatever age they were diagnosed at, you're supposed to start your mammograms and clinical breast examinations at least 10 years prior to when they were diagnosed. So if your grandmother was maternal grandmother or your mother's mother was diagnosed at 46, then you're supposed to start having mammograms at 36. To kind of catch it early, just in case. And then something interesting that Mia and I talked about was that there's a gene that can be passed down through our DNA that kind of passes down the gene for breast cancer and ovarian cancer. But it turns out that Mia is negative for that gene.
It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
I tested negative for the gene, which I always thought I was going to test positive for the gene. And because my maternal grandmother had breast cancer. But I tested negative for the gene.
And that gene is called BRCA gene. So you'll hear people kind of talking about BRCA gene. That's what they're speaking of. And then there was one other thing the other thing is, and Mia hadn't talked about this, but I think one of the reasons why she's still able to teach her her aerobics classes and still be who she is because she's living a healthy lifestyle, and that makes a huge difference. As far as exercising, eating healthy, I think we talked earlier about probiotics as an option, but not as much as treatment, but it's just taking care of yourself. And so not only going to the doctor and seeing the doctor and getting your clinical breast examinations and your mammograms, but also exercising, eating healthy, trying to stay. I talk to my patients about this all the time. I know we grew up on hog maw, but that's trouble. It's trouble in the making. And so that's one of the things that I would really want to express to and impress upon our culture specifically is, I know there's certain foods that we were raised on, but let it be a treat. Let it not be your everyday meals, because actually obesity is a risk factor for breast cancer.
You know, it's good that we're being educated, because when we're being educated, it empowers us. And so I know you guys are certainly being empowered by what you're getting today. You guys are sharing really some great information. I think it's great that you're so courageous to come on and do this. I have to say that. And, you know, we're going to be back in just a moment when we're going to talk to a hair specialist, actually, that's going to be cutting the hair of Mia Trevillion in just a little while. But we'll be back in just a moment. You guys stick around. Welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. As I told you earlier, we've come in with another guest. We have Candace Walls along with Mia Trevillion right now. We brought Candace on because actually Mia, like I said earlier, doing something very courageous. She's actually cutting her hair off early before it begins to fall out from the different therapies that she's having to take, from radiation to chemo and that type of thing. So I truly commend her for having the bravery to come on the show and do that. This is certainly a first for the Ferrell Phelps Show. Now, Candace, you're a natural hair specialist.
Yes.
And hair care expert. What is it that you're recommending for me once this is done, and also going through the process of chemotherapy and things of that nature?
Well, there's a few things that people need to take into consideration before the chemo, during, and then after, in regards to their hair. As you had said earlier, a woman's hair is their crown and glory.
Right.
And I experience this every day behind the chair. And I absolutely love what I do. So what I tell them is before the chemotherapy begins, talk to your doctor about what to expect, because everybody does not lose their hair. It just depends on what type of treatment, how aggressive it is,
Okay.
And the concoction of the chemotherapy. So that's really important. Start handling your hair, because you will feel changes in the texture, and it'll start to kind of feel more brittle, more dry, even before the chemotherapy kicks in.
Okay.
So just handle your hair a little differently as far as combing and brushing. You may begin to feel some scalp tenderness. During the chemo, this is the big decision. Do I cut? Do I let it fall out gradually? Do I cover it with wigs?
Right.
You know, you want to start thinking about those type of things. And then after, if you do lose your hair, there's certain things that can be done as well, as far as cleansing the scalp, keeping it conditioned, using non-sulfate products, very gently handling the scalp, as well as massaging, just to keep the blood flow. So there's a lot of things that you have to consider. It's a really big deal.
Okay, when you're going through that.
Yes.
Now you mentioned that not everybody loses their hair.
Exactly.
And I think it's one of our common thoughts that when women go through this, they automatically are going to lose their hair. But that's not always the case.
Right, not always the case. Sometimes you may just experience thinning versus complete hair loss. So so you don't go into it thinking that you're going to automatically lose your hair, because every person is really unique and different, and it depends on the approach to treatment.
Okay. And as we all know, Mia has decided to make a big decision and just go ahead and let it go, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of times I think we define ourselves by the exterior.
Yes.
But I think it's a beautiful thing when we're able to understand who we are as a person and understand that our value is not associated necessarily with what's on the outside, but what's on the inside. And obviously you've come to that decision with yourself as well, because who Mia is the person she is on the inside.
Right.
You know, and so to let go of something external is perfectly okay, and it's
Right.
very courageous. You know, you know, I have to say that again. So the information that you just gave about hair care and what to do afterwards. Now, when hair grows back, I've heard a lot of people say it grows back differently.
Yes.
How do they care for that? Is that, and a lot of times is it finer or thicker, or how does that?
Yeah, well, typically the hair that grows back is either going to be baby fine hair, come
Okay.
in more softer. Some people come in more curlier hair texture that never had curls before.
Okay.
And some people hair will return in a coarser state. So it just really depends on that person, how the hair will return. As for care for the hair, the first, right after treatment, maybe 4 to 6 weeks after treatment, you'll start to see that hair regenerate typically on the scalp. So you want to approach it just like you would your regular hair. You want to keep it cleansed, keep it moisturized. Just use a very gentle shampoo, like I said, non-sulfate shampoo. Some people even like baby shampoo, really soft and gentle.
Okay.
Another approach is to use a damp, soft towel with sea
just wipe it
breeze
over your
and
head
just
type of-
it'll refresh your scalp, and you know, a lot of times that in itself will make you feel a lot better just to have your scalp cleansed, and it'll give you a really fresh feel with the sea breeze. Moisturizer is also important. Lightweight, however, because you don't want to clog your follicles up.
Especially during that time.
Yes, yes, definitely. So a light moisturizer, and I definitely will put something together for Mia for long-term use, you know, so she will keep, you know, her scalp cleansed and that hair in preparation for her new hair that's going to come back.
Yeah, all right. You know, hey, I think that's great. You know, well, without any further ado, I think, Mia, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, well, we're looking forward to this transition, and we're going to be back in just a moment. You guys stick around because you're going to actually see Mia's transition with getting her hair cut and by Candace in just a moment. So stick around. This is going to be interesting.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
All right, we're back. You know, this is the first time that this is actually taking place, and it's very interesting. Mia is very courageous to get her hair cut off live on camera by Candace Walls, who's a hair care specialist. Candace, what are we to expect?
So what we're going to be doing with Mia, she's relaxer free. So in the natural hair community, we're going to approach this as we would a big chop. So we're just going to take her down maybe about 1/2 inch to her new growth area, to her curly hair, and then we'll take it from there to see how low we'll take
We'll
the
actually
hair down.
go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, without any further ado, I think we'll begin the process. Are you ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
And she says she's ready, y'all.
Awesome. So I'll be using shears today to give her the big chop. However, sometimes I also use clippers, just depending. Mia made this decision on her own, so this lets me know that she's emotionally ready for this. And just have to be careful with the sounds of the clippers and the shears, you know, just to their emotional well-being as well.
Right.
So I sectioned her off in 4 sections, and I'm just going to go in and I'm going to cut right down to the base, about a 1/2 inch from her scalp.
Okay. And I think she is definitely ready.
Yes.
Can I ask how long your hair has been in a natural state?
It's been since 2008.
Okay.
8 years. Yeah.
8 years. And we recommend also during the chemo process, no chemicals. Hair color, even henna. Mia and I talked about hair color because she likes her signature blonde. So we talked about hair color, but you don't want anything to interact with your treatment. So hair color, relaxers, perms, all of that is on the waiting list for when your hair grows back.
So it seems like, based on what you're saying, that it's best to keep everything as natural as we can during the process with chemotherapy and radiation.
Exactly.
For this type of treatment.
That's exactly true. You don't want anything that may hinder the success of your chemo treatment.
Okay.
Or even having a reaction.
Right. Well, it's certainly an interesting process. I've never had the opportunity to see someone actually go through this stage when they're dealing with cancer, to actually get the hair cut off. So this is certainly a first for me, and I definitely can say that, Candace, you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And Mia, you're doing great. Absolutely.
We have a question.
Yes.
Mia,
Yes.
although I know you are excited about getting your hair done, but are you going to just keep a patch for memories, a souvenir?
Keep a patch of the hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick up that's one some close friends that asked me. They said, "Are you gonna put a patch in a bag?"
Yeah, bring us some hair back.
I think I'm gonna keep some of it. Yeah.
Good idea.
I look at it.
Yeah.
It's like a transformation.
It is.
Yes.
It's a journey.
Now, Ferrell kept saying being brave, but this is not what I really was wanting to do. This took a moment,
Yeah.
you know, because I'm so used to having long braids, and you know, when I'm natural, I got the fro, the big afro. So, yeah, this took some soul searching.
Well, when God gets you ready,
Yeah,
you ready.
yeah.
And one of the things about being in the field of work that I'm in, behind the chair, I hear it all. You know, all the stories, all the journeys. You know, and as women, we go through a lot physically with our bodies the older we get. So the hair, typically in stressful situations, is the first to go. Either the thinning or completely falling out. So, and we have an emotional attachment to it. So it's definitely a big deal to come to a point to accept. Especially in our community, because growing up, we all strive for this long, beautiful, gorgeous hair. You know, that's one of our goals. And when we cut it, even a shortcut without issues such as chemotherapy, you know, you kind of get the side eye like, you cut all your hair off, you know. So for you to make that choice, and then, you know, have to deal with the questions of your hair while you're going through is a whole nother issue.
And it certainly helps that Mia has a very pretty face. So whether she has hair or not, I think that it's no matter what we do, she's going to be beautiful.
Yes.
I know y'all agree as well, right?
Yeah, I noticed immediately when she took that cap off. I was like, oh, that beauty up under that cap.
Oh, she cute.
Candace, to that response that you said about the remarks or whatever about the hair, my response would be, well, don't wear yours like this.
Okay. So you don't like it, don't wear it. That's right. Absolutely.
The beauty of choices, right?
That's right.
That's right.
So in a choice Mia, she'll have to make down the line is whether, and I call it WWB, whether you wrap it with a covering, if you wear a wig, or if you just go bare. And that's meaning shaving all of your hair off. So those are some options she'll have to consider doing the further she goes within her treatment.
So what has your experience been like when you've actually, in the past, done this on other clients, Candace?
Oh, all sorts of responses. I did my first post-chemo chop back in 1999 when a lady I was working for at a salon, she was first diagnosed with breast cancer.
Okay.
And I actually shaved her with the clippers, and that's when I realized, you know, that your approach really feeds into, you know, how it's received with the patient. Because we went in with the clippers, and I could barely even hold the clippers. I broke down. You know, it was it was really a traumatizing event for me, and I wasn't even going through. But for her, it was as well. It was really a really aggressive measures taken, but she had to make the choice. But yeah, we both were really emotional after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got through it, and she's still. I call her today for advice. So yeah.
And I think that's how it is oftentimes when you get devastating news. The initial shock of it can really be mind-blowing until you get to the place where you're deciding exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to handle it. And once I think you make those decisions, it makes it a little bit easier for you.
Yes.
But that initial shock is always
right.
the biggest challenge when you're dealing with what we would consider a life-threatening illness.
Yes. And I read something the other day. It said about cutting your hair during like chemo treatments. It's not vanity, because some people don't want to let go, but it's for your sanity.
Right.
Actually, just to sit and make that decision.
Wow, that's
So,
a big mistake.
yeah, it's powerful. So we have a nice base here, and then we're going to shape her up.
That's kind of
That's
cool.
nice.
Actually, yeah.
You can rock it.
Kind of punk rock right there.
I was trying to get mine like that. You can rock that down.
You might want to look at that for you.
Before you go any further.
And if she wants to if you want to keep some length, Mia, you can, and you want to see how it's going to react to the chemo. But if it's really aggressive, I don't know if it's going to be patchy.
I don't want it to be patchy.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing I don't want it to be patchy.
So I'm gonna take it down.
Mia, when we were off camera, you had mentioned how important your healthy diet had been. Could you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, I think over the Christmas holidays, I went extreme. I bought a Vitamix, I bought a juicer, I bought a NutriBullet. I read everything you possibly think about. Yeah, I did. I read everything you could possibly think about eating and herbs and stuff about for its cancer. And so changing up the diet, I mean, just eating foods that I felt that I read about that were cancer fighting, that's what I started doing. And it meant 2 months. I saw a big result.
Right.
Now,
And you said that you did go completely vegan for a 2-month period.
Yeah, I went
right?
on to the Green Vegan over in 3rd Ward right there. I was there on a regular basis getting juices and seeing what was out there, because, you know, I had explored it before, but you know, you just think about salads. But just when I went over there and I was trying different foods with the hemp burgers and stuff, I was like, I kind of like this. So it meant it was a big difference. I haven't been sick.
Yeah,
You know,
I just think that's important.
it's
that
very
people
important.
know that.
You know, so I'm kind
And
of
the
glad now. I'm excited about just cooking that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very excited about cooking that way. But it wasn't a hard transition because I was pretty much kind of doing that. But just being more conscious of it.
We all need to be.
And plus, I still want to teach. You know, that's my biggest thing. I still want to teach. So if I can still teach, I'm good. Because I can't see myself just sitting at home, you know, waiting for this process to pass.
And you're teaching aerobics, correct?
Well, I teach an aerobics class.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aerobic type class.
Power.
Yeah. So that's why Candace and Tariq was important because we did healthy hair. Because I was calling Candace like, what am I do with this hair? She's like, girl, as much as you sweat. I was like, oh my God, there's nothing you can do with that hair.
Yeah.
You know. But now I'm doing this. It's like, okay, what am I doing with this head then? Because I love being outside.
Yes.
I love that. So I'm like, am I gonna get a sunburn on my head? Or?
Yeah, that's important though because you should use a screen sunblock, SPF at least 30, or keep it covered.
Okay.
Yeah, keep your hair covered. That's beans.
Yes. And I can stay in it all.
Yes. I'm like Mia.
I can stay in it all day. So yeah, eating healthy has been a big part of it. And juicing. I mean, I found so many different juices. Turmeric has become my friend.
What has become your friend?
The
Turmeric.
turmeric. Yeah, I love it. Now I did have a bad episode last week from the chemo. It did make me sick. I felt some of the nausea and all of that. But they said that was typical the first round, you know, trying to get it in my body, getting adjusted to it.
That was your second?
That was my very first round.
Your very first
round was hard.
Looks like we've made some amazing progress here, needless to say.
Yes,
A lot has been knocked off since you guys saw the beginning, and when we return, you're going to be able to see the end result and talk to Mia to see how she feels about it. All right? We'll be back in just a moment. All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show with my guest today, Dr. Richmond, Candace Walls, and Mia Trevillion. Welcome back. Now, you guys know, before we left off, we talked about Mia going through the transition with getting her haircut. Obviously, you guys can see that she's gotten her haircut, but she herself has not seen this cut. But I think we're ready for the reveal now. Are you ready, Mia?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, folks, this will be a very genuine reaction because she's not seen herself. All right.
Oh my God. Oh, it is.
That is gorgeous.
Beautiful.
That is absolutely
beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It's
You
different.
are beautiful.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Very, very good. And very courageous of Mia to come on the show and actually do that publicly for you guys to actually be a part of her real experience. And this is all very, very genuine. You just saw a very genuine reaction. I think she did a very good job. We commend you. And you look gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. I know that wasn't necessarily an easy thing because you did that in front of the whole world.
No.
But it was a very bold thing. And again, we commend you. We commend you. Very, very good. So how do you actually feel about the transition? I have to ask you that. I see tears in your eyes.
A little shocked. I mean, yeah, a little shocked, I've never had my hair cut this short before. So, but, you know, I was ready.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you look great.
Well, thank you.
And like I told her before we actually began, you know, because she has such a pretty face, she has amazing teeth, which I'm really jealous of. And so you can't go wrong with her face anyway. She can shave it all off and be just as beautiful.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to thank each one of you guys for coming on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. You've done an amazing job. Candace, thank you so much. Dr. Richmond, thank you so much. And last but not least, Mia, thank you so much for sharing your story on the Ferrell Phelps Show. right. Now, for more information on this show, you can certainly reach me by just simply going to my website. That's ferrellphelps.com. All of my information is right there. You can also have a link to my shows as well. And I'm so thankful that you guys joined me on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. Until next time, we will see you then. Thanks so much.